I've been reading The Fabric of the Cosmos by Brian Greene, and I thought, let's talk about some of the nonfiction books that I have really enjoyed. So if you're interested, stay tuned. That is coming right up. Good day, good day, good day. So let's talk nonfiction. As much as I love science fiction and fantasy, there is a whole wide world of nonfiction out there where you could just learn so much. Reading is definitely about more than just a good story. We could learn so much from reading as we delve into the mysteries of science and the world around us, delve into history, biographies, if that's the type of nonfiction you like as well. Politics, philosophy, religion, science, history, so much out there that we could learn so much from. And I find that I am definitely enjoying reading nonfiction. At least once per month, I try to get a good nonfiction book in. Lately, I've been reading Brian Greene's The Fabric of the Cosmos, and I got to thinking, I should spend some time talking about the nonfiction books that I've enjoyed, and that's what this video is about today, to talk a little bit about the nonfiction books that I am really enjoying, or I have enjoyed, and where I want to go with the nonfiction reads. So of course, first up, there is one nonfiction book that certainly delves into philosophy. This is a book that kind of goes through the history of our storytelling as a people, as a culture, society, and the mythos and legends for which we get our inspiration from our stories. And that book is Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. So this is one that really kind of delves into the monomyth, to the hero's journey and the journey arc that the hero goes through that we see so rampant through so many of the stories that we tell ourselves. Everything from Luke Skywalker in Star Wars to Kaladin Stormblessed from the Stormlight Archive, Rand al'Thor from the Wheel of Time. There are so many examples of how the hero's journey has inspired our pop culture. It's built within our religious mythos. Many religious figures have a hero's journey arc to them in the mythos and legend and doctrine behind those religious figures throughout a world in many, many, many different religions. So Joseph Campbell's The Hero of a Thousand Faces is truly an inspiring, interesting look at everything and about the stories we tell ourselves. And, you know, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I love this book. More than I did when I first read it. And it's just so packed full of information and ideologies that are explained in a way that help us understand and come to an understanding of everything we love about the stories we tell ourselves. If you're an aspiring writer, I would say that this is a must read. There is so much good in this book to go through the whole hero's journey, the stuff that makes our stories relevant to ourselves, to our lives, to the stories we read, and it's part of what makes things so great with the stories we all love. So this is one that I've really enjoyed, and you know, definitely one that I would certainly recommend in terms of the non-fiction reads. So as I mentioned, I do tend to gravitate towards science and philosophy when it comes to nonfiction. Those are certainly the things that I am super interested. One area of science I'm interested is cosmology and this physics and quantum mechanics, stuff that gets really super confusing very easily. So we have The Hidden Reality by Brian Greene. This was a really great read, talking about this idea of parallel universes, alternate dimensions, superstrings. So it's parallel universes and the deep laws of the cosmos. So this is really fascinating read about the reality that we simply cannot perceive, but all the math and the physics tells us is there, but we don't have a way to see it. So these alternate dimensions and reality that exist beyond our perception and ability to see it. And Brian Greene has such a great way of explaining things in a way that helps someone who really doesn't understand quantum physics on any kind of fundamental deep level, to help us understand what these realities are and why we can't perceive them, but the math shows that it's there. I love the way Brian Greene writes. I just find he is able to write in a way that communicates effectively. But that doesn't mean that everything he talks about is fully understandable. I mean, quantum physics itself is a mess of confusion and contradictions. But it's still really interesting, especially if you are into the whole cosmology and quantum mechanics and physics and all that kind of stuff. Brian Greene is definitely a must-read, recommended book. Keeping in line with the science subject that I tend to gravitate towards with my nonfiction, A Crack in Creation was one of the first books I've read on genetics. This was a fascinating one. This one is about the CRISPR technology, so the gene editing and the unthinkable power to control human evolution, by Jennifer A. Doudna and Samuel H. Sternberg. So this is a fantastic read on CRISPR technology, genetic engineering, what the technology enables us to do. And I love that. I mean, I'd always heard of CRISPR, but until I read this book, I had no idea what that acronym actually stood for. And I love reading more about this, and I love learning things like what the acronym stands for. Clustered Regular Interspace Palindromic Repeats. Try saying that 10 times fast. But yeah, gene editing is a fascinating subject of biological sciences and genetic engineering. This one, A Crack in Creation, is a must-read from the inventors or creators or discoverers of CRISPR technology, and how that impacts the world, what the potential ramifications of this technology are, what we can do about it, and what we need to do about it. The benefits of this technology are unmeasurable, but so are some of the inherent dangers that this technology can be used for. So this is a great book and a great read into genetic engineering and technology. Definitely a must read if you're into this type of bioscience. And if you just want to know more about CRISPR technology, where it came from, and the ramifications of such technology, this is a fantastic read, and I would highly recommend on that subject. And if you are interested in artificial intelligence, this is the book for you. Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence by Max Tegmark. This is a great read discussing artificial intelligence and the advancement of the human being itself, and where we are evolving to the point where we can very much be meshing technology with biology to enhance humanity, not just in terms of artificial intelligence and artificially intelligent machines, but artificially intelligent people with enhanced intelligence themselves. This is a fascinating read about the future of humanity and Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. It's a fascinating read and really brings up some really interesting possible futures of humanity and how we're evolving as a species alongside our technology. And will the technology surpass us, or we're going to keep pace with the technology? What does the future of humanity look like in an age of artificial intelligence? Wonderful read, definitely worthwhile. If this is a subject you are interested in, this would be a very fascinating read indeed. So definitely worthwhile. Check it out. Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Now the last one that I'm putting up here is actually two books, but I'm kind of counting them together because one's kind of a sequel to the other. We don't often see sequels in nonfiction reads because typically a nonfiction read is a standalone book. You don't usually do a follow-up or sequel to that. But I want to include these ones because they're both just so good, and one is kind of a follow-up of the other. And so these ones are by Yuval Noah Harari. The first one being Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. So if you are interested in the evolutionary history of humanity from when the first humans first appeared 200,000 to 300,000 years ago to the modern day, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind is a fascinating read. It goes over the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, technological revolution, and the history of humanity, of where do we come from when humans first appeared and how did we get to where we are now with the progression of societies and technology and industry and farming, utility, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's just a really fascinating read about the history of humanity and where we came from. And definitely that is absolutely 100% worthwhile read. In fact, Yuval Noah Harari in general just seems to write some really good stuff. that I really enjoy reading. I do have his 21 Lessons for the 21st Century on the shelf, so definitely I will be getting to more Yuval Noah Harari down the line. But yeah, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. So this one was quickly followed up with Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. Now, I love the title choosing on this book. So Homo, of course, meaning human, or the human family of animals, so the Homo genus, which of course we know there's Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, Homo habilis. So there was a variety of different human species on Earth at one point, Homo sapiens being the only surviving member of this particular breed of great ape. But I love how Homo Deus, Deus mean divinity or God. So I love how he titled this book. Human Gods is essentially what this book is telling us. This is a brief history of tomorrow, which of course, history, tomorrow, kind of contradictory because tomorrow is the future. But the idea behind this book is to talk about where we are now and where we are going. What is tomorrow going to look like for humans and humanity? What is this human God, effectively? When compared to the rest of life on Earth, we've advanced so far in intelligence, technological prowess, and ability to accomplish things that we are virtually gods compared to the other animals on this planet. So we are now human gods, or Homo Deus, and we are now in a position where we can control almost everything on this planet, from the tiniest microscopic to the largest macro. Where are we going as humans? Where's our technology taking us? And what does our future look like as human gods, or Homo Deus? So that is just a fascinating read and peek into the future of humanity. I will say this, I don't always agree with Yuval Noah Harari's assessments of things, but he does have a very interesting perspective, and he does have a fascinating way of looking at things to kind of get you thinking. Those parts where I didn't always agree with what he was saying was just fine, because it got me to think. It challenged my way of thinking about certain things and my understanding of things in order to think differently and have that alternate perspective to challenge, say, well, what about my position? How does that play into this? And that was just really fascinating, really interesting thing about Yuval Noah Harari, and part of why I really enjoyed his writing so much. So those are 5 nonfiction books, or I guess technically 6 with the Homo Deus book added in there, but those are nonfiction books that I have really enjoyed. And definitely I would recommend to you, if these are subjects and areas of science, I guess, that you are interested in, I would definitely recommend these books that we've discussed here. So there you go, 5 nonfiction books that I have really enjoyed. And you know, I hope that you could maybe enjoy these books too, if these are areas of reading that you are interested in, as always. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you know, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about some of the nonfiction you're finding interesting and reading yourself. And you know, happy to have that discussion. If you'd like to have that discussion in my Discord, I will go ahead and link that down below for you. I will also have my Linktree profile, so you can join me on all my social platforms if you're so inclined. And as always, you can also support me on Patreon, and I'll have that linked below. Always optional, always appreciated. If you want to support the channel in that way and you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, you can support this channel for as little as $1 per month on Patreon. Patrons will get access to things like early video access. You get to vote on which book I get to read next. From my TBR pile, I'll be putting up a monthly poll with the choices for patrons to pick a read for the month for me. So things like that. And you know, as always, definitely do appreciate you even just watching this video. But as always, you know, if you liked it, like the video. If you want to comment, subscribe if you haven't already and you want to hear about more nonfiction, because I do try to read at least once per month. And again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on reading. Bye.